Good morning. I hope you're well. It is early. I believe it's like 5:15, and I've been awake for 2.5 hours. I woke up at about 3:45. Woke up. Yeah, epilepsy is wonderful. It causes me to wake up very early in the morning. And so I kind of sit around in the dark listening to videos for the first 2 hours of my day until everybody gets to moving around. But after yesterday's video, I thought, you know what? Why not make a video at this time of day? You can hear that the city is beginning to wake up here and there, but it's still very quiet. So yeah, I went to Main Street Ministries yesterday. I think I said Monday in that video, but I was confused. And I believe today's Wednesday. So I went Tuesday, and it turns out Tuesday's their busiest day. And so it's like a cafe, it's like a kitchen area, and then a big window and a counter, and the people who participate in the program come to the door. You have to register, and they take a picture of you. It's very unofficial, but it is just the action of being willing to register and go through the process and all of that. I believe you don't have to have an ID, but you have to, say, my name is James Frederick, and okay, yes, I'm homeless. And even if you're not homeless, you can still go in there and eat. It's really kind of a beautiful thing. But I walked in the door. There's probably 45, 50 people in the dining area, which is basically a school gym. Okay, they basically have a school gym, and on one end of it, probably where the offices used to be, they built a kitchen. And the old basketball hoop is still at the far end of the place. It really is beautiful how they've done that. And so the homeless people come up to the window. There's a little whiteboard where they write what's available, and they just get what they want. Oh, can I have a this, a that, and the other thing? Now, yesterday, okay, they had this little lady. She's probably 75, 80 years old, bustling around in there, and she cooked all of the food and brought it for the day, and that included really nice chicken chili, beautiful, a beef stew that was just amazing, had all kinds of beautiful vegetables in it and beef, and it was really good. Breakfast casserole, which was basically eggs with home hash browns mixed in with the eggs, and then a layer of sausage and a layer of cheese on top of that, baked in the oven. Wow. And she was bustling around making smoothies, and the smoothies included like lots of fresh fruit and yogurt, and she would throw in a couple of ice cream bars in there. And they were just amazing. All the food was amazing, and it was all free, and anybody could eat as much of it as they wanted. What a gift, huh? What a gift. So I basically just said, well, I can see that she's got the food under control, and it's just her serving these 50 people, and there are more coming in the door all the time. And so I jumped in and started helping people. Hi, how can I help you? And I'll have cereal and some beef stew and a smoothie, that kind of thing. But yeah, so people came, they ate, and that you could see in the gym that there was a certain sense of, last night was cold. We were going through coffee, amazing, a lot of coffee, like, man, people ate like somebody who knew that they were going to be out in the cold and possibly in the rain overnight. And this was it. This was their food for the day. So that was an amazing experience. I brought home a bunch of really ripe bananas. I'm going to make a whole bunch of banana bread and some kind of chili. Oh yeah, no, actually, I brought home also corned beef. So I'm going to make big corned beef and cabbage and a bunch of banana bread. They're going to pick that up, I believe, Friday morning. So, I thought, oh, I'm such a guy, but then I see the number of people and the amount of food they ate. I mean, we had to break into tomorrow's burritos in order to get everybody fed. And I like the concept that it was, instead of, oh, sorry, we're out, it was like, hold it, we're out. Let's see what else we can find. Good. Life is good, isn't it? There are people out there who are trying to just make the world a better place, and that is good. And I believe that one of the biggest tools that you could possibly employ to help individual people and animals is food, nutrition, providing nourishment. There can, in my opinion, be no higher calling than to first attend to the temple with good, proper nourishment, not gross crap that you would expect at we could call it a soup kitchen. You would expect like, half rotted vegetables and some kind of broth with maybe 2 or 3 little chunks of meat in it. That's what you would expect. Not the case. Not the case at all. So in the end, I was walking out the door, and the woman who manages the operation, her name is Tunica. She's a beautiful human. She's from the Netherlands, and it's just a beautiful soul. Beautiful soul. Would have been a tie-dye wearing hippie chick back in the 70s. She's probably a couple years older than me, but yeah, she's a beautiful soul, as was the other lady. Man, so we got them all fed. I'm standing out front waiting for Tunica. She's like, hold it, I gotta get the coffee things cleaned up, and I'll be a couple minutes. And so I said, I'll meet you outside. I went outside, and this guy was standing there waiting at a picnic table for another guy. And he had expressed earlier, oh, this guy won't shut up. He said he'd give me a hand. And, oh God, I can't. We can't get anything done because he just keeps talking to everybody. And indeed, the guy was very talkative. He was like the Jester, the court jester. He was right all over the place, talking to anybody he could find. And another good soul, African American guy. Sorry, I got to get this under control. For anybody who's still watching, which is probably nobody. So, both guys are African American. That's kind of an aside, and there is a point to that. And so the guy was like waiting at the picnic table. I think he was like finally like, good, now we can go do whatever it was they're going to do, because I had no idea. And I could see him like sitting there, and finally he got up and started walking basically towards me for whatever reason. And I was kind of watching him, and the other talkative guy said, oh, dude, I'll be just a minute. And he's like, you know what? It's okay. Take your time, man. And he walked my direction. And he was like 20 feet from me. And I said, hey, man, you know what? I really admire your ability to be patient. Didn't know what he was waiting for, but I could see that he was exhibiting patience. And he's like, oh, God, this guy. And he came up to me. He won't shut up. He won't. Oh, God. I don't know what to do. He said he'd help me. And I'm like, what? Okay, what's up? And he's like, I ran into this guy, and he said he'd show me the ropes here and there, and all he wants to do is talk. And I said, oh, what, are you homeless? And he said, 3 days. This is my 3rd day. And I could see his stuff. He had a backpack and a couple big, heavy bags of food from the food bank. And I'm like, wow, man, what happened? And all of a sudden, he started to cry. And he said, man, it's all my fault. It's what I did to myself. I could see the self-hatred in him. It's like, I can't, I hate myself. I could just see that. And I knew right away it was some kind of drugs. Probably fentanyl destroys lives that quickly. He's like, yeah, I had it going on, I just got out of prison. And I'm like, really? How long were you in? And this is what blew my mind. He's at 27 years. The guy was locked up for 27 years. They let him out, no parole, with a $100 check. Here you go. Have fun. Welcome to freedom. No check, no family, no nothing. How he was able to get a job in the first place was amazing. He still had his ID, which is positive. I said, you got ID? You got a phone? Because I was going to recommend that he go get one of these free welfare phones. And he's like, nah, dude. Well, and then he really started to bawl. And I'm like, whoa, what's up, man? And he's like, 3 of them. I've had 3 of them. And I gave them all away. I traded them. I'm like, for what? And he's like, crack cocaine. And I'm thinking to myself, what? I even said to him, crack? Dude, that's not even a thing. I mean, it's not a thing anymore. Where did you even find it? He's like, yeah, I know. I traded my phone for a $5 rock. And I'm like, wow. Wow. So look at you now. I said, you need to, basically I told him, you need to pull your head out of your ass, bro, and get it right. Crack isn't a thing, It's easy to get unaddicted to crack because it's nowhere. It's not like fentanyl pills, which are everywhere, or heroin, which is everywhere. I said, do you smoke cannabis? He's like, ugh, can't stand that stuff. I'm like, okay. So that's not an issue. And he's like, I'm like, what you need to do is step outside of yourself. You need to pray, ask God for help, first of all. And he said, I've been asking, I've been praying, I've been asking, and nothing. And I'm like, well, I don't know, man. Look around. Look at your situation. He sent that guy, though he is a pain in the ass to you, didn't he? He brought you here where you could find a shower, food, shelter if it gets really cold, clothing if you need it. Dude. He's like, yeah, I guess there is that. There is that. And I'm trying to get across town. I don't even have, I only got $1. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that sucks, man. And that's reality. You'll think, you can find solutions. To every problem, there is a solution. And this guy's, at this point, I'm crying. He's crying. We're both getting a download. That's what I call that. He was crying out of sorrow. I was crying because the power of God was working through me. And, I said, hey, he sent you to me too, didn't he? He's like, oh. I said, is there any clearer message you could have got? And he just stopped, and he's like, I said, if you're listening, God's, oh yeah. I said, so what's the first step at that point? I said, so okay, what's the first step? God sent you a solution. What's the first step? And he knew what that was. He said, well, admitting that I have a problem. And I'm like, yeah, that you are insane. And your life is completely unmanageable. And yeah. I said, I've been there, bro. I know how it feels. On crack. I've been there. I said, what's the second step? And he says, oh, just giving it to God. And I said, yeah. Realizing that only a power greater than yourself can restore you to sanity. You're insane. Only God or some other power greater than yourself, like the state of Colorado, who can go, you're back in prison for another 10 years. That'll straighten you out. A power greater than yourself. Jails, institutions, death, or God. What's the choice? Okay, what's the third step? And they looked again. It's like, God. I said, right. You have to turn your will and your life over to the care of God. And so you need to get to a meeting. You need to get to a church. You want life to go better? You need to give it up and get with God. Or it's jails, institutions, or death. Take your choice. At which point, Tunica started coming out, and I'm like, well, I'm leaving, bro. And I reached in my pocket, I handed him a $5 bill, and I said, keep that between you, me, and God. That's dearest some bus fare. And he said, man, thank you so much. You really helped me. And went for a handshake, and I said, dude, brought him in, gave him a big hug. Big hug. Yeah, I said, God loves you. I love you, bro. It's going to be okay. And that was that. It was such a beautiful moment. And should teach us all that no matter what, if you ask for it, if you ask God for help, even if you're in the heart of it, of being dark, then of missing the mark, then God will send something to you. The universe will send something to you if you are receptive, if you ask for it, if you reach out. My name is Jerome. I am the Sane Realist.